My dear students, this is a lecture about the OSI model. As we have explained this lecture previously in the class, we said that we have 7 layers, which is physical, data link, network, transport, session, presentation, applications. You should memorize them in sequence. That means you cannot start from transport or session. It should be in this sequence. They have set this model in 1947, and this model has been set by the International Standard Organization, ISO. The ISO covers all aspects from network communication in the open system interconnection, which is OSI. So this model we call OSI. How to memorize this model? We said before that you still can memorize this one by putting a short sentence, which is very useful to memorize this one. What is this sentence? We can say that programmers do not throw sauce pizza away. So as you can see here, P is for physical layer, D for data link, N for network, T for transport, S for session, P for presentation and application. By memorizing the first word of the first letter of each word in this sentence, you will be able to list down the OSI model from top to bottom or from bottom to top, but don't miss the organization and the arrangement. So there is a job for every layer. The physical layer is what we have explained in last 3 weeks. Physical layers are the links we use to connect the devices or nodes, and we have said some links are wired, other are wireless. Wired like UTP, unshielded twisted pair, fiber optic. Wireless like infrared, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. These are wireless signals. So what about data link layer? Let me move to the next slide. So don't worry when you see. So as you see in this slide, the data link layer is responsible for moving frames from one hub or node to the next node. That means the data will be chopped into something we call frame. This frame should be able to be transferred on the physical layer mode. Physical layer mode sometimes need to transfer it into lights, sometimes in digital signals, sometimes analog signal, and so on. So the data link is responsible about moving frame from one link to other link. So you don't have to worry about this thing. This is just to say that the data which you have sent had been added with other checksum or other source of signals. So in data link we are in D2, we have to add some other information to make this information able to be transferred on the physical layer. This is about the data link. Then we have network layer. What is the purpose of network layer? In network layer we have to put the IP address. When we put the IP address, that means we are specifying the source, the receiver. So IP address is delivering individual packets. That means the data will be chopped into packets to be transferred through the network layer. Then these packets will be converted into something in data link layer we call what? We call it frames. So these packets will have an IP address, and so we finish the network or the data link. We said we have a frame, send information from hub to hub. Then we have packet in network layer. Transport layer, here we have the TCP and UDP, which is user datagram protocols. Transport, it has protocols to specify either this information are audio, video, or whatever. So the transport layer is responsible for delivering messages from one process to another process. Let me go back to the OSI model. We said physical transfer the final form of the data. Data link layer is responsible of taking frames. Network is packets, and transport is message. So message, packets, frame, message, packet, frame. Let we go to session. Session is responsible about identifying when start the communication and end the communication. It says here, session is responsible about dialogue control and synchronization. So synchronization is the timing. The presentation is how do we represent the data during this transformation or sending signal, okay, or transponding signal. So responsible for translation, compression, and encryption. You memorize it like this. The presentation is responsible for translation. That means translate the bits into digits, the words which we understand to the machine language. We compress the information. We encrypt the information to add some security. Then we have the application. What is the application layer? It's very well known for all of you. The application is the software which you use to send this information. So to open internet, for example, I need Opera, I need Mozilla Firefox, Internet Explorer, Google Chrome. All these things we call application. Even Viper and WhatsApp are application to communicate with other users on the network. So as a summary, normally in every exam I ask you talk about the OSI 7 layers. Be careful. There is other model which is 5 layers. So these are the 7 layers contains of physical data link, network, transport, session, presentation, application. Here we have the frames in data link, we have packets in network, and in transport we have what? We have messages. So the physical is the medium which we send the data during it. Data link is responsible of sending frames from one node to other node. Network is to move packets from source to destination and provide internetworking. The transport layer is responsible about delivering messages. It contains TCP and UDP protocols. Session is establishing message and terminate the session. That means this, decide when to start and when to end your communication. About the presentation, it's translate, encrypt, and compress the data. And the applications to allow normal users, so normal is geographic user interface, to communicate with the other link. Thank you very much. This is part 1 of today's lecture.